We are now standing on a remote, uninhabited island located in the far south of the globe. Antarctica is not far away, so the climate here is cold, with little vegetation and winds blowing from all directions. You will find penguins, sea lions, and seabirds, but no trace of any humans. What may surprise you, however, is the presence of an entirely unexpected creature, a sheep, in fact thousands of them, around 4,000 in total. But these are not like any other sheep. They are 3 to 4 times larger than the ones we know. The reason is the thick wool that completely covers their bodies. The wool alone makes up half of the sheep's weight, if not more, making it difficult for them to move and forcing them to eat and drink by touch. Their lives are extremely difficult, as if they are doomed. But what these sheep are about to do is astonishing. They are on the verge of survival. Not only that, they are about to evolve into a unique breed the world has never seen before. The story begins on Campbell Island, which was discovered by an Australian captain in 1810 during a seal hunting trip. Since the ship was owned by the Campbell family from Sydney, they named the island after them without much thought. At first, the island was used for hunting sea lions, then it became a base for whalers. In 1896, it was included in New Zealand's pastoral lease system, which allowed anyone to lease government land for grazing, building, and farming. The first to make use of the island was Mr. Gordon from the city of Gisborne. He sent 400 sheep to the island, along with some wood to build shelters. But by the year 1900, he was financially unable to continue. The island was then bought by a captain named Tucker, who decided to expand sheep farming. In a quirky turn of events, Tucker brought in 3 groups of sheep, each with about 1,000 heads, most of them from the merino breed, known for its wool production. The island was like a sheep paradise, with unique plants known as giant herbs that had leaves big enough to soak up the rare sunlight. The flock thrived, reaching a whopping 8,000 sheep by 1913. But as time went on, the vegetation started to dwindle, costs soared, and in 1931 the flock was left behind, dwindling to just 4,000. Even the workers were left stranded, living off the land for 2 years without a way back to civilization. The government eventually sent a rescue ship, but the wool's value couldn't cover the cost. The workers were left empty-handed. The sheep were left to fend for themselves, despite being ill-equipped for the wild. These domestic sheep needed regular shearing to stay healthy, just like Barren, a ram found in Australia in 2021 with a wool coat so heavy he could barely move. With no humans around on Campbell Island, the weaker sheep perished quickly, leaving only the strongest to carry on. A swift and unexpected natural evolution took place, giving rise to a tougher, more resilient breed. The fierce winds stunted plant growth but kept pesky insects at bay. No bothersome flies buzzing around the sheep. Predators were scarce, save for the skua bird, though there were no reports of attacks. From a peak in 1913 to a sharp decline in 1931, the sheep population bounced back on its own, defying all odds. The surviving sheep carried the genes needed to adapt and thrive. With the return of vegetation, food was plentiful once more. Over 40 years, these sheep roamed freely, evolving into a breed distinct from their ancestors in both looks and behavior. When humans returned to the island in 1975, they were surprised by this new breed. Longer legs, heads held high, deformed jaws from eating tough plants, and strange behaviors like standing during birth and lambs walking just minutes after being born. Even their wool had changed, less dense and more weather-resistant. Grass had to be tied into bundles so the sheep could eat it, as they no longer knew how to feed from troughs. Despite this natural achievement, the sheep couldn't remain on the island forever. In 1954, the government declared the island a nature reserve and ordered the removal of all sheep. A fence was built in 1970, dividing the island into 2 sections. In the north, 1,200 sheep were culled, and in the south, around 2,500 were later eliminated. By the late 1980s, the last of the island's sheep had been killed to preserve the ecosystem. However, before that, a rescue mission in 1975 managed to capture 10 live sheep to be bred in New Zealand. Since the sheep had become wild, dogs couldn't be used to herd them. Instead, 10 scientists used whistles. Despite resistance from the sheep, they managed to gather 58 and selected the best 10. But while tying them near a fence, skua birds attacked again. The team had to carry each sheep for over a mile to the ship through exhausting terrain and relentless winds. These sheep were preserved as a pure flock for decades, but a new tragedy occurred in 2017 when 5 of them, including pregnant females, were stolen and killed. The total number dropped to just 30, and rare, irreplaceable genes were lost. It's believed the crime was committed for meat, even though the taste is bad and harmful to health. Today, the remaining Campbell Island sheep are still bred in captivity, carrying unique genetic traits. If they had been left in the wild, they might have evolved into a completely new species, larger or smaller, with lighter wool adapted to harsh winds just as kangaroos on Kangaroo Island once did. Thousands of years ago, the island separated from mainland Australia due to rising sea levels. It became home to its own special kangaroo species, now known for their shorter, broader bodies and thick, dark fur adapted to cold winters and lack of predators. A British scientist wrote in 1925 that this kangaroo was gentler and calmer than any other species. Perhaps if Campbell Island sheep had been given the same chance, they too would have become a fully independent species. On a remote island near Antarctica, around 4,000 giant sheep live in harsh, cold conditions. Their thick wool makes them 3 to 4 times larger than normal and limits their movement. Still, they are evolving into a new, unique breed. The story takes place on Campbell Island, discovered in 1810. It was used for seal and whale hunting, then became part of New Zealand's farming system in 1896. Mr. Gordon first brought 400 sheep, but left due to money problems. Later, Captain Tucker brought about 3,000 merino sheep to start a large wool farm.